Every guitarist has to start somewhere, but some habits can make you sound like a complete noob even when they don't have to. I've identified 6 of the most insidious guitar habits a beginner could have. These are things that could take months or even years off of your progress, and they're sneaky enough that you might not even notice you're doing them. The good news, these are things that don't need years of practice to fix. With just a little bit of awareness and effort, you can fix them all today. So let's get into it. First off, stopping and fixing things. This is probably the number one thing a beginner could change to immediately sound more advanced. When you're practicing, stopping and fixing mistakes is good and necessary. We drill things over and over again until we can get it right on command. That is a good habit, but it's only a good habit for when our brain is in practice mode. When it's time to play songs all the way through, stopping and fixing things is the worst kind of mistake you can make. Watch this. I'm going to play a short phrase for you 2 times. The first time I'll make a ton of mistakes, but I'll keep cruising through the performance. The second time, I'll play perfectly clean, but I'll make one single mistake, which I will stop and fix. And I want you to think about which one sounds worse. So what do you think? The second time I played so much cleaner, but by stopping the rhythm, I completely take you, the listener, out of the music for a minute. It's jarring, it's distracting, and it makes one mistake worse than the 10 plus mistakes I made when I just kept going. You really need to learn to flip a mental switch and get into performance mode, where you just don't get rattled by any mistakes and you keep going. A huge tell that you're new to playing guitar is if you're playing for someone and you get totally flustered and you stop when you make a mistake instead of just keeping going. So how do you fix this habit? Well, it's easy. First off, practice more with a metronome. That'll put you in a rhythm-first mindset where even if you make a mistake, you're going to be trying to stay with the beat, so you're likely to keep going. Second, you just need to spend more time with your brain in performance mode until you really know what it feels like. Most beginners don't spend any time in performance mode, so just setting some time to try it out is enough. I like to divide my practice time in a very clear way where I'm stopping and fixing things for a while in practice mode, and then I consciously change to performance mode when it's time to play through longer sections of music or full songs, always with the goal of not stopping for anything. Number 2, too much tension. Tension is kryptonite for a guitarist. It destroys all of your abilities. Go watch a video of any great guitarist, look at their hands, and you'll see how incredibly relaxed they look. For example, Matteo Mancuso's been taking the guitar world by storm lately, and just look at how relaxed he looks as he is absolutely shredding this music. Both his right and left hands move so fast because they're relaxed, and you can tell. Now the left hand is the first place you are going to want to look to reduce tension. Most new guitarists have a vice grip on the guitar neck. Now, I made a whole video on how to remove tension in your left hand, which I'll link here above, but I want to give you a specific exercise you can do here that's going to help too. This is an exercise classical guitarists do all the time to make sure that their left hands are relaxed enough to handle complex movements that they do all over the neck. And it works really well for any style of guitar. It's called buzz scales. So with a buzz scale, you want to play an entire scale, getting the note to buzz but ring through. That would mean you're at the exact limit with every finger you're pressing down, which means that if you press just 1% more than that, the note's going to sound good. If you can establish that threshold, you're not going to waste any extra tension pushing too hard. Number 3, bad positioning. You may not realize this, but positioning actually matters a lot. When I spot a guitarist with a bad sitting position, I already know how they're going to sound before they even play, and it's not good. Imagine if you tried to eat dinner with your chair pulled 2 feet away from the table, or you went to play basketball with untied shoes. Sure, you can make it work, but why would you go in with a limitation like that? Starting off your playing with bad positioning is no different. This is especially important for self-taught guitarists. You're at a huge risk for developing poor technique without having a teacher who can give you personalized feedback. But if you can sit with good positioning, you are massively increasing your likelihood of playing with good technique because you've set yourself up to be in a position to do it right. It's like the saying goes, you measure twice, cut once. So here we see an image of a right leg playing position, and I've labeled 5 checkpoints that will help you get closer to your ideal sitting position. Number 1, your right leg needs to be high enough. People don't talk about this much, but it's important. Having the right leg angle keeps your guitar close to your body and secure. You either need to find a low chair, cross your legs, or prop your right leg up a few inches. The goal is to not let your hip be higher than your knee. Avoid office chairs with arms that restrict your arm movement or with wheels that add instability. Also, watch out for chairs or stools that are too high. They'll make your legs droop and everything falls down and forward. Number 2, rest your elbow around the corner of the guitar body. You'll see here the bend of the elbow is at the top corner of the guitar. The result is that the right arm ends up at about a 45-degree angle to the strings, which is ideal. You'll run out of arm space if your angle is too steep in either other direction. Number 3, guitar neck slightly above parallel. Go watch videos of any good guitarist you can think of. 99 out of 100 of them will have the guitar neck pointing parallel or higher, no matter how they sit. If your neck is drooping down, it's going to cause problems, especially if you're left hand. Number 4, keep your right hand just outside of the sound hole. Whether you're playing fingerstyle or strumming, your hand needs to have a home base. If your bass is too close to the bridge or the fretboard, you won't be in the most ergonomic position, and it'll affect your technique. You'll see advanced players playing all over, but you need to do your time grounding yourself in a safe area, and that's the sweet spot. And number 5, have your guitar body resting against the chest. If the guitar's lower, like against your rib cage or your stomach, your left hand has to reach too far and your position's off. And if it's too far away from your body, then it creates all kinds of problems too. So make sure it's close enough and high enough. There are a lot more subtleties to positioning, but if you take care of those 5 little checkpoints, you're setting yourself up for success. Number 4, playing too quietly. This is a big tell that someone is uncomfortable and nervous. Playing super quietly transmits that you're unsure of your sound, you lack confidence, and you feel tentative. Plus, when you play quiet and tentatively, you end up getting tight everywhere. Suddenly you're making tiny stiff movements with your fingers and they're locking up and you're making even more mistakes. Imagine a baseball player who has a tiny little baseball swing or a golf player who has a short, stiff stroke. It just doesn't compute. And it's the same for your fingers. Now this problem also has a very easy fix. Just play louder. Playing louder will not only loosen up your hands, but it'll trick you into feeling more confident. Picture yourself walking into a room full of people and just singing at the top of your lungs. It's kind of hard to imagine feeling shy while you're doing that. You'd either immediately shell up and get quiet, or you'd feel full confidence within seconds, even if it starts out a little awkward. Well, if you pluck the strings louder and you strum louder, suddenly you'll find yourself feeling more confident about what you're playing. Then you'll enter into a positive feedback loop because you'll sound better and you'll move on from mistakes easier because most of the other notes sounded great. Again, this is a simple change to make that will pay huge dividends. Number 5, dirty playing. Frequent mistakes, buzzed notes, and muted notes are all symptoms of the same problem. Of course, we have the occasional accidental buzzed or muted note. But when I hear players that are constantly whiffing notes and clanking away, buzzing everything, it just tells me they didn't practice enough. Now, obviously your technique matters when it comes to playing clean, but even with less than ideal technique, you can avoid buzzes and mutes if you just practice a little bit more. This is a soapbox that I get on a lot, and if you've seen my other videos, you've heard this before, but it's not about literally spending more time practicing, it's about practicing the same thing for longer before you move on to something new. If you're more oriented towards mastery, you'll go the extra mile to clean up the sound of your music. Now that might mean practicing shorter phrases of music so you can manage it better without problems, or it might mean playing slower and being more patient about getting the music down faster. But above all, it usually means spending more time on one practice activity before you move on to the next. When I see someone fumbling through playing a song, I know they haven't figured out how to practice properly yet. Quick side note, I created a card game to help people learn how to practice properly while still having fun. Click the card in the top right corner of the screen or check the link in the description to learn more about it. And finally, number 6, excuses and faces. This one is a personal pet peeve of mine, and honestly, it's something that I had to overcome myself. Playing music for others is a really special thing, but it's also strangely vulnerable for the person who's playing. Most people are incredibly anxious about playing music in front of others, and many avoid it at all costs, even though they love playing the guitar. And that's a shame, because playing for others is a crucial part of getting better at guitar. It seems like the perfectionist in all of us comes out rearing its ugly head once it's time to play for others. And the perfectionist's greatest fear is to not play perfectly, which is a pretty unrealistic standard if you ask me. So our inner perfectionist starts to cope with potential imperfections before they even happen. It tells us to ramble on for 5 minutes about how we didn't have enough time to warm up, and our fingers are stiff, and the strings need to be changed, and it's super cold in the room, so what we're about to play is probably gonna sound terrible. Then when we're playing, we make faces to show our discontent, as if we need to show the people who are listening, hey, don't worry, I know this sounds bad and I hate it too. It normally goes way better when I'm practicing. And then to top it all off, when people compliment us afterwards, we say, oh no, that was terrible. I usually play way better. Do yourself a favor and learn this lesson now. None of that is a good look. Instead of putting on that whole show, just own it. Own your playing wherever you're at. Project and play with confidence, even if you're just faking it till you make it. And when someone compliments you after playing, just say thank you. Believe it or not, in the long run, that will make a huge difference with how you view your own playing as well. Like it or not, confidence is a part of learning guitar. And with more confidence, every beginner would advance faster. Okay, so let's bring it all together. Everyone starts as a beginner. That's part of the journey. The key is to not get stuck in habits that hold you back. Now, these 6 habits might seem small, but addressing them can make a massive difference in how you sound and how you feel when you play. Keep pushing yourself, keep learning, and most importantly, keep enjoying the process. Your progress isn't just about getting better, it's about growing into the musician that you want to be. Hey, so my comment section has been lonely lately, so let's have a little discussion. Are you guilty of these 6 mistakes? Are there other bad habits you've noticed that give people away as beginners? Let's chat about it in the comments. I'm lonely. Come on, I need someone to talk to.